So, out of 12 million recipients of public food benefits, SNAP, EBT, WIC, okay, out of 12 million that are receiving it, only 63,000 are currently being investigated for fraud. So, when you put that into perspective and you understand how poverty works and you understand that 12 million people, less 62,000, are legitimate people. People with disabilities that are incapable of supporting themselves or unable to get enough work to support themselves. The elderly who are collecting Social Security. And children, families with children 5 and under. The average SNAP benefit is between $200 and $250 per month per family. Now, I don't know if any of you have been to the grocery store lately, but even if you go to Aldi's or Walmart, groceries run $300 to $400 a pop. And if you have children that need formula, diapers, baby food, things like that, you can really, really tack on the dollars. One of the reasons that our population is dwindling is because having babies is too effing expensive in this world. Everybody screams and hollers, you got to have those kids, have those kids. Well, give them a living wage. 12 million people rely on SNAP and WIC to feed their children and to keep themselves upright because they got to eat too. When things like healthcare is a law and mandatory, when auto insurance is a law and mandatory, when companies are struggling to keep up things for their employees, the problem is not the 63,000 people of suspected fraudsters on SNAP and WIC. It is our failed economy that fails to give families a living wage where while the children are growing, if one parent wants to opt to stay home, the other parent can comfortably support that family until those kids are off to school. A living wage is giving enough Social Security to our retirees so that they don't need to rely on pensions because not everybody's getting a pension. So that they don't have to rely on ridiculous shoplifting. Elderly people shoplifting cans of tuna and shit because they don't know what else to do. Americans, seniors should never go without. America's military, everything for them and their families as long as they're active duty should be 1,000% free. We owe it to them. We owe them that. Put our tax dollars to feeding, housing, clothing, and caring for the families as well as the active military members. While they're active duty, we owe them that. $12 million less 63,000. That's what, 11 million, 40,000 people who are legit and who are going to starve. Their kids are not going to have enough. They're not going to be able to get the diapers and the cheese and all the shit that they need for their kids and whatnot. Because the Dems won't budge. November 1st is Saturday, people. The day after tomorrow. This isn't going to solve anything overnight. None of this is going to be fixed overnight. But if we look at this rationally, I doubt that anybody who's legitimately collecting WIC and food stamps really likes doing that. That's one of the reasons that, for the sake of dignity and privacy, they made it into a credit card, so they can just scan that credit card. The EBT cards. In Michigan, they call it the bridge card. They do that to preserve their dignity and their privacy. Not everybody is a crook or a criminal that's collecting food help, food assistance. Not everybody is a self-made millionaire. Not everybody who is a working stiff has a job that can pay the bills. We need to demand living wages, lower interest rates, lower prices, manageable utilities, because the utility companies, they can scrape you dry, and nobody is policing that shit. Look what's happening in New Jersey. That's the biggest thorn in the side of the voters for their new governor. We are completely at the mercy of utility companies, interest rates, corporate monopolies, slave labor. Getting the illegals out of here, that might help a little bit. Getting all of this commerce from this tariffs bullshit here. If this raises the wages so that a family of 4, 5 could comfortably live in a house that they have a mortgage on, that they own, and a car that they own off of one income, that, my friends, is the American dream. But when a family has to collect food stamps and WIC while working 2+ jobs because mortgage interest rates are too high, because groceries are too high, because utilities are too high, because insurance companies are doing whatever they can to get your money. They don't care. Some families, their health premiums are more than their mortgage payments. And they only use about 10% of that insurance policy. Who's the real crook here? Granny collecting food stamps because her Social Security isn't cutting it? Or these big corporations screwing people up the ass without the Vaseline? We are in a crisis right now, people. And the last thing we need to do is disparage and humiliate hardworking people or people that have put 50, 60 years into a job, or a single mom with an infant who's just trying to schlep by. Right now, we need to unite under one banner. That is Old Glory, the Stars and Stripes, the flag of the United States of America. We need to band together, whether you are Democrat, Republican, Independent, or whatever the frick you are. If you want to identify as a fluffy pink squirrel, I don't care. But we all need to step back, and not attack people who are potentially going to become the real victims of this bullshit infighting between Jeffries, Schumer, and Mike Johnson. These self-made million and billionaires are laughing their way ass to the bank. They're not going without. But 12 million people, less 63,000, because now they're under investigation. Their stuff was frozen. They don't get their WIC and stuff. 11.5 million people who truly depend on that for food, for medicine, for prenatal care, for infants. They're screwed. They're screwed as of midnight, 12 a.m. this coming Saturday, if we don't unite as a people and try to put a stop to the shutdown and try to show some goddamn compassion and dignity for your fellow man. And if the shutdown continues and people in your community start losing money, start losing benefits, they're going to start losing hope. And what happens when people lose hope? They can go to extremes, such as killing themselves and their families. Having to take on so much work that they have heart attacks and they die. I mean, this is a big deal. So let's unite together in compassion for our fellow humans. Take care of your community and your family and your friends. And stop disparaging, because you have no idea. That person sitting next to you in your office cubicle could be collecting WIC because they just had a baby and your stupid ass boss ain't paying them enough. That grandma that lives down the hall from you in your apartment, she might be collecting food stamps because her Social Security is not paying the bills. So before you start running off at the mouth, disparaging and calling people deadbeats and losers and freeloaders, and I've done it, I'm the first to admit, I sound like a hypocrite right now because I have been so angry. But when I've run off at the mouth, I also do my research the best I can. And I'm here to tell you that right now, this is the last thing anybody needs, is this hate online being hurled at people who in 48 hours might lose every cent of money they have to go to Walmart and buy food for their families. Not everybody is a criminal. Not everybody is an honest working Joe either. And who knows? I could be running off at the mouth and I could be a victim of a carjacking in Walmart the next time I go. Who knows? But it makes me cry when I see crap online of people hurling insults at people that they know nothing about. You live in your comfortable little bubble, in your comfortable little world, and you have no clue. But it's easy to judge when you don't know what the other side is living with. So there, take that. And until next time, do good and be good and show some fucking compassion.